I
This
hear
is Sunanda.
Sunanda's voice.
Yeah, I can hear you too. Yeah.
Okay. Well, you don't need to look at me. Same old, same old.
No, we want to see you.
No, you don't. You'll see me tomorrow, Des.
Okay, good.
You can look at Sri Ramakrishna.
Yeah, he's better than
He's
you.
better than me any day. Much better eye candy. I don't know on what page we left. It was, I think, Swami Sumanasananda did it last time. No, he restarted completely.
The screen is showing, it's Krishna Prana, but that sounds like Raja Prana.
Yep.
How about that?
Good ear, John.
Oh, I'm still alive. At least I didn't say that, if you're having technical difficulties, ask a man for help, but I would never say anything like that.
That you don't want to mansplain us. Wouldn't be a good thing.
I wouldn't try in this group.
So I am going to start. We are on Saturday, July 21st, 1883. And that would be page 263. O Mother, consort of Shiva, thou hast deluded this world. The master went into the drawing room with the devotees. Every now and then he said, O Mother, please dwell in my heart. Jadu was sitting in the drawing room with his friends. The master sat down, still in an ecstatic mood, and sang, O Mother, ever blissful as thou art, do not deprive thy worthless child of bliss. Finishing the song, he said to Jadu, still in a state of divine fervor, Well, sir, what shall I sing? Shall I sing, Mother, am I thine 8 months old child? He sang, Mother, am I thine 8 months child? Thy red eyes cannot frighten me. My riches are thy lotus feet, which Shiva holds upon his breast. Yet when I seek my heritage, I meet with excuses and delays. A deed of gift I hold in my heart, attested by thy husband Shiva. I shall sue thee if I must, and with a single point shall win. If thou dost oppose me, thou wilt learn what sort of mother's son I am. This bitterly contested suit between mother and her son. What sport it is, says Ram Prasad. I shall not cease tormenting thee till thou thyself shall yield the fight and take me in thine arms at last. Coming down to nearly a normal plane, the master said, I shall take some of the Divine Mother's prasad. Then he ate a little of it. Jadu Malik was sitting near him with several friends, among whom were a few of his flatterers. Master with a smile. Well, why do you keep these buffoons with you? Jadu with a smile. Suppose they are. Won't you redeem them? Master smiling. The water of the Ganges cannot purify a wine jar. Jadu had promised the master that he would arrange a recital of the Chandi in his house. Some time had elapsed, but he had not yet kept his promise. Master, well, what about the recital of the Chandi? Jadu, I've been busy with many things. I haven't been able to arrange it. Master, how is that? A man gives his word and doesn't take it back. The words of a man are like the tusks of an elephant. They come out, but they do not go back. A man must be true to his word. What do you say? Jadu, with a smile, you are right. Master, you are a shrewd man. You do a thing after much calculation. You are like the Brahmin, who selects a cow that eats very little, supplies plenty of dung, and gives much milk. All laugh. After a time, he said to Jadu, I now understand your nature. It is built warm and half cold. You are devoted to God and also to the world. The master and his devotees were served by Jadu with sweets and fruit, and then the party left for the home of Kailat Ghosh. Kailat Ghosh's house was a big mansion, but it looked deserted. As the master entered the house, he fell into an ecstatic mood. Ramal and the master entered the room, and he fell into an ecstatic mood. Ramlal and a few others and the devotees were with him. Their host was Kailat Ghosh's brother-in-law. He was an old man, a Vaishnava. His body was stamped with the name of God according to the Vaishnava custom, and he carried in his hand a small bag containing his rosary. He had visited the master now and then at Dakshineshwar, but most of the Vaishnavas held narrow religious views. They criticized the Vedantists and the followers of the Shiva cult. Ramakrishna soon began to speak. Master, it is not good to feel that one's own religion alone is true and all others are false. God is one only and not two. Different people call on him by different names, some as Allah, some as God, and others as Krishna, Shiva, and Brahman. It is like the water of a lake. Some drink it in one place and call it jol. In another place they call it pani. In another place they call it water. The Hindus call it jol, the Christians water, and the Muslims pani. It is one and the same thing. Opinions are but paths. Each religion is only a path leading to God, as rivers come from different directions and ultimately become one with the ocean. The truth established in the Vedas, the Puranas, and the Tantras is but one Satchidananda. In the Vedas it is called Brahman, in the Puranas it is called Krishna, Rama, and so on, and in the Tantras it is called Shiva. The one Satchidananda is called Brahman, Krishna, and Shiva. The devotees were silent. A Vaishnava devotee, Sir, why should one think of God at all? Master, if a man really has that knowledge, then he is indeed liberated through living in a body. Not all by any means believe in God. They simply talk. The worldly minded have heard from someone that God exists and that everything happens by his will, but it is not their inner belief. Do you know what a worldly man's idea of God is like? It is like the children swearing by God when they quarrel. They have heard the word while listening to their elderly aunts quarreling. Is it possible for all to comprehend God? God has created the good and the bad, the devoted and the impious, the faithful and the skeptical. The wonders that we all see in his creation, exist in his creation. In one place there is more manifestation of his power, in others less. The sun's light is better reflected by water than by earth, and still better by a mirror. Again, there are different levels among the devotees of God, superior, mediocre, and inferior. All this has been described by the Gita. Vaishnava, true, sir. Master, the inferior devotee says God exists, but he is very far off, up there in heaven. The mediocre devotee says God exists in all beings, as life and consciousness. The superior devotee says it is God himself who has become everything. Whatever I see is only a form of God. It is he alone who has become Maya, the universe, and all living beings. Nothing exists but God. Vaishnava, does anyone ever attain that state of mind? Master, one cannot attain it unless one has seen God. But there are signs that a man has had the vision of God. A man who has seen God sometimes behaves like a madman. He laughs, he weeps, he dances, and he sings. Sometimes he behaves like a child 5 years old, guileless, generous, without vanity, unattached to anything, not under the control of any of the gunas, always blissful. Sometimes he behaves like a ghoul. He doesn't see difference between things pure and impure. He sees no difference between things clean and things unclean. And sometimes he's like an inert thing, staring vacantly. He cannot do any work. He cannot strive for anything. Was the master making a veiled reference to his own state of mind? Master, to the Vaishnava devotee, the feeling of thee and thine is the outcome of knowledge. I and mine comes from ignorance. Knowledge makes one feel, O God, thou art the doer, and I am thy instrument. Hold on. Page turn here. The pages. Come on. I'll have to reread it. Come on, you guys. All right. Doing the shooter thing here. Here we go. O God, thou art the doer, and I am thy instrument. O God, to thee belongs all body, mind, house, family, living beings in the universe. All these are thine, nothing belongs to me. An ignorant person says, oh, God is there, very far off. The man of knowledge knows that God is right here, very near, in the heart, that he has assumed all forms and dwells in all hearts as their inner controller. And that is the end of that day. And we move to July 22nd, 1883, which is on a Sunday. Taking advantage of the holiday, many householder devotees visited Sri Ramakrishna in his room in the Dakshineshwar temple garden. The young devotees, mostly students, generally came on weekdays. Sometimes the master asked his intimate disciples to come on a Tuesday or a Saturday, days that he considered very auspicious for special religious instruction. Adhar, Rakhal, and M had come from Calcutta in a hired carriage. Sri Ramakrishna had enjoyed a little rest after his midday meal. The room had an atmosphere of purity and holiness. On the walls hung pictures of gods and goddesses, among them one of Christ rescuing the drowning Peter. Outside the room were plants laden with fragrant flowers, and the Ganges could be seen flowing toward the south. The master was seated on a small couch facing the north, and the devotees sat on mats and carpets spread on the floor. All eyes were directed toward him. Mani Malak, an old Brahmo devotee about 65 years of age, came to pay his respects to the master. He had returned a few months earlier from a pilgrimage to Benares and was recounting his experiences to Sri Ramakrishna. Mani Malak, a monk whom I met in Benares, said that no religious experience is possible without the control of the sense organs. Nothing could be achieved by merely crying, God, God. Master, do you understand the views of teachers like him? According to them, one must first practice spiritual discipline, self-restraint, self-control, forbearance, and the like. Of course, he's talking about the yamas, the niyamas. Their aim is to attain nirvana. They're the followers of the Vedanta. They constantly discriminate, saying Brahman alone is real and the world is illusory. But this is an extremely difficult path. If the world is illusory, then you too are illusory. The teacher who gives the instruction is equally illusory. His words too are as illusory as a dream. But this experience is beyond the reach of the ordinary person. Do you know what it's like? If you burn camphor, nothing remains. When wood burns, at least a little ash is left. Finally, after the last analysis, the devotee goes into samadhi. Then he knows nothing whatsoever of I, you, or the universe. Padmalochan was a man of deep wisdom. He had great respect for me, although at that time I constantly repeated the name of the Divine Mother. He was a court pundit in the Maharaja of Burdwan. Once he came to Calcutta and went to live in a garden house near Kamarhati. I felt a desire to see him and sent Hridai there to learn if the pundit had any vanity. I was told he had none. Then I met him. Though a man of great knowledge and scholarship, he began to weep on hearing me sing Ram Prasad's devotional songs. We talked together a long while. Conversation with nobody else gave me such satisfaction. He said to me, give up the desire for the company of devotees. Otherwise, people of all sorts are going to come to you and will make you deviate from your spiritual ideal. Once he entered into a controversy by correspondence with Utshavananda, Vaishnavacharan's guru. He told me an interesting incident. Once a meeting was called to decide which of the two deities, Shiva or Brahma, was the greater. Unable to come to any decision, the pundits at last referred the matter to Padmalochan. With characteristic guilelessness, he said, how do I know? Neither I nor any of my ancestors back to the 14th generation have seen Shiva or Brahma. About the renunciation of lust and greed, he said to me one day, why have you given up those things? Such distinctions as this is money and that is clay are the result of ignorance. What could I say to that? I said, I don't know all these things, my dear sir, but for my own part, I cannot relish such things as money and the like. There was a pundit who was tremendously vain. He did not believe in the forms of God. But who can understand the inscrutable ways of the divine? God revealed himself to him as the primal power. This vision made the pundit unconscious for a long time. After regaining partial consciousness, he only uttered the sounds ka, ka, ka. He could not fully pronounce Kali. A devotee: Sir, you met Pandit Vidyasagar. What did you think of him? Master: Vidyasagar has both scholarship and charity, but he lacks inner vision. Gold lies hidden within him. Had he but found it out, his activities would have been reduced. Finally, they would have stopped altogether. Had he but known that God resides in his heart, his mind would have been directed to God in thought and meditation. Some persons must perform selfless work a long time before they can practice dispassion and direct their minds to a spiritual ideal and at last be absorbed in God. The activities that Vidyasagar is engaged in are good. Charity is very noble. There's a great difference between daya, compassion, and maya, attachment. Daya is good, but not maya. Maya is love for one's relatives, one's wife, children, brother, sister, nephew, father, and mother. But daya is the same love for all created beings, without any distinction. M. Is daya also a bondage? Master: Yes, it is. But that concept is far beyond the ordinary man. Daya springs from sattva. Sattva preserves, rajas creates, and tamas destroys. But Brahman is beyond the three gunas, is beyond prakriti. None of the three gunas can reach truth. They are like robbers who cannot come to a public place for fear of being arrested. Sattva, rajas, and tamas are like so many robbers. Listen to a story. Once a man was going through a forest when 3 robbers fell upon him and robbed him of all his possessions. One of the robbers said, "What is the use of keeping this man alive?" So saying, he was about to kill him with his sword when the second robber interrupted him, saying, "Oh no, what is the use of killing him? Tie him hand and foot and leave him here." The robber bound his hands and feet and went away. After a while, the third robber returned and said to the man, "I am sorry. Are you hurt? I will release you from your bonds." After setting the man free, the thief said, "Come with me. I will take you to the public highway." After a long time, they reached the road. Then the robber said, "Follow this road. Over there is your house." At this, the man said, "Sir, you've been very good to me. Come with me to my house." "Oh no," the robber replied, "I can't go there. The police will know it." This world itself is the forest. The 3 robbers prowling here are sattva, rajas, and tamas. It is they that rob a man of the knowledge of truth. Tamas wants to destroy him. Rajas binds him to the world, but sattva rescues him from the clutches of rajas and tamas. Under the protection of sattva, man is rescued from anger, passion, and other evil effects of tamas. Further, sattva loosens the bonds of the world, but sattva also is a robber. It cannot give him the ultimate knowledge of truth, though it shows him the road leading to the supreme abode of God. Setting him on the path, sattva tells him, "Look yonder, there is your home." Even sattva is far away from the knowledge of Brahman. What Brahman is cannot be described. Even he who knows it cannot talk about it. There is a saying that a boat, once having reached the black waters of the ocean, cannot come back. Once 4 friends in the course of a walk saw a place enclosed by a wall. The wall was very high. They all became eager to know what was on the inside. One of them climbed to the top of the wall. When he saw looking inside, made him speechless with wonder. He cried, "Ah," and dropped in. He could not give any information about what he saw. The others, too, climbed on the wall and uttered the same cry, "Ah, ah," and jumped in. Now, who could tell what was inside? Sages like Jadabharata and Dattatreya, after realizing Brahman, could not describe it. A man's I completely disappears when he goes into samadhi after attaining knowledge of Brahman. That is why Ram Prasad sang, addressing the mind, "If you should find the task too hard, call upon Ram Prasad for help." The mind must completely merge itself into Brahman. But that too is not enough. Ram Prasad, that is, the principle of I, must vanish too. Then alone does one get the knowledge of Brahman. A devotee: "Sir, is it possible then that Shukadeva did not have the ultimate knowledge?" Master: "According to some people, Shukadeva only saw and touched the ocean of Brahman. He did not dive into it. That is why he could return to the world and impart religious instruction. According to others, he returned to the world of name and form after attaining the knowledge of Brahman for the purpose of teaching others. He had to recite the Bhagavata to King Parikshit and had to teach people in various ways. Therefore, God did not destroy his eye altogether. God kept in him the ego of knowledge." Devotee: "Can one keep up an organization after attaining the knowledge of Brahman?" Master: "Once I talked to Keshav Sen about the knowledge of Brahman. He asked me to explain it further. I said, if I proceed further, then you won't be able to preserve your organization and your following." "Then please stop there," replied Keshav. I'll laugh. But still I said to Keshav, I and mine indicate ignorance. Without ignorance, one cannot have the feeling that I am the doer, these are my wife, children, possessions, name and fame. Thereupon Keshav said, "Sir, if one gave up the I, nothing whatsoever would remain." I reassured him and said, "I'm not asking you to give up the I, to give up all of the I. You should only give up the unripe I. The unripe I makes one feel I am the doer. These are my wife and children. I am a teacher. Renounce this unripe I and keep the ripe I, which will make you feel that you are the servant of God, his devotee, and that God is the doer and you are his instrument." Devotee: "Can the ripe I form an organization?" Master: "I said to Keshav Sen that the I that says, I am a leader, I have formed this party, I am teaching people, is the unripe I. It is very difficult to preach religion. It is not possible to do so without receiving the commandment of God. The permission of God is necessary. Shukadeva had a command from God to recite the Bhagavata. If, after realizing God, a man gets his command and becomes a preacher or a teacher, then that preaching or teaching does him no harm. His I is not unripe, it is ripe." I asked Keshav to give up this unripe I, the ego that feels I am the servant of God and the lover of God, does not injure one. I said to him, "You have been constantly talking of your organization and your followers, but people also go away from your organization." Keshav answered, "It is true, sir. After staying in several years, people go to another organization. What is worse, on deserting me, they abuse me right and left." "Why don't you study their nature?" I said. "Is there any good in making anybody and everybody a disciple?" I said to Keshav further, "You should accept the Divine Mother, the primal energy. Brahman is not different from its Shakti. What is Brahman is also Shakti. As long as the man remains conscious of the body, he is conscious of duality. It is only when a man tries to describe what he sees that he finds duality." Keshav later on recognized Kali. One day when Keshav was here with his disciples, I said to him that I would like to hear him preach. He delivered a lecture in the Chudni. Then we all sat by the bathing ghat and had a long conversation. I said to him, "It is Bhagavan alone, who is the one form that appears as the Bhakta, in another as the Bhagavan. Please repeat Bhagavata, Bhakta, Bhagavan." Keshav and the other disciples repeated the words. Then I asked him to repeat Guru, Krishna, Vaishnava. Thereupon Keshav said, "No, sir, I should not go so far now. People will say that I've become an Orthodox Hindu." It is extremely difficult to go beyond the three gunas. One cannot reach that state without having realized God. Man dwells in the realm of Maya. Maya does not permit him to see God. It has also made him a victim of ignorance. Once Hridai brought a bull calf here. I saw one day that he had tied it with a rope in the garden so that it might graze there. I asked him, Hridai, why do you tie the calf there every day? Uncle, he said, I'm going to send this calf to our village. When it grows strong, I shall yoke it to the plow. As soon as I heard these words, I was stunned to think, how inscrutable is the play of this divine Maya. Kamarpukur and Shihor are so far away from Calcutta. This poor calf must go all that way. Then it will grow, and at length it will be yoked to the plow. This is indeed the world. This is indeed Maya. I fell down unconscious. Only after a long time did I regain consciousness. And that is a good ending for the day. Are there any questions, any discussions? Anything back there that you can see, Durga? No? See their faces, but... Okay.
Thank you, Prajaprana.
Nice to hear your voice, Devi Prana. See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow. Mañana.
Mañana. Anybody else? Any questions? Suggestions? Well, I don't see the schedule, but I do know tomorrow Swami Arupeshananda will be speaking on trusting God. And on Wednesday, we'll have a reading of Latu Maharaj, How a Shepherd Became a Saint. And next Saturday will be a reading from the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna at this time.
Prajaprana.
How are you doing, John?
Hey, just fine. I got a email from Durga about your technical problems, and I've got somebody, the same guy that came, who could help. Please let her know I've got that. So anyhow, no other questions.
Okay. All right, then we'll conclude with the chant. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.